Good morning, distinguished shareholders. Good morning, distinguished shareholders. Before we commence deliberations on the resolutions on the meeting agenda, we have a pre-agenda item to deal with.
Good morning. So I would like to draw the attention of shareholders to the fact that audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2020 and notice of annual general meeting published in national newspapers within the prescribed time frame. However, after the publication of the audited financial statements and the notice of annual general meeting, the 22 annual report and account was circulated to the shareholders after the prescribed notice period. In light of this disclosure and to cure the said delayed circulation of the 22 annual report and accounts, I hereby call on a shareholder to move the following motion. That shareholders approve the company's 13th annual general meeting should proceed as published in the notice of the meeting. Would someone please rise and move the motion? Thank you.
I told you, sir. The name is Adela from Lukman Adishola.
Thank you. Thank you, Ji. Would someone, those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising their hands? Okay, sorry. Before that, would someone please second the motion? Thank you. You are right. Thank you. Now, would those in favor of the motion please signify by raising their hands? Thank you. Would those against the motion please signify by raising their hands? I hereby declare the motion has been duly carried. We can now move to the items of the agenda. Once again, good morning, distinguished shareholders, members of the Board of Directors, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to welcome you all to the 13th annual general meeting of our company, UBN Property Company Plc. To save time, most of the motions on the agenda will be moved by me or at my instance, and thereafter I will call on seconders from the floor before the motion is put to the meeting and vote is taken. We will entertain comments, questions from shareholders on the financial statements, which I will lay before you in due course, and to which answers will be provided before we proceed to the next item. Now, before we proceed, I crave your indulgence to introduce the representatives of the following professional advisors and regulators who are with us physically. The following are being recognized, and I would request when I take names, representatives of those institutions can introduce themselves. I don't know, we need Mike maybe here for them. So the following are being recognized. Members of the Statutory Audit Committee. Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you, sir. Representative of Ernst & Young. Thank you. DSL Corporate Services Limited. Thank you. Securities and Exchange Commission. Okay. NASD PLC. Corporate Affairs Commission. Okay. Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria. And a registrar's Cardinal Stone Register. Thank you. The register of director holdings and attendance at the board meeting are available for inspection during this meeting in compliance with the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. Before we proceed with the issues of the day, I also would like to introduce members of the board of directors of your company. Mr. Joseph Mobolo, Mr. Remy Kolarinwa, Mrs. Obiako Awiwu Wande. To my immediate right is the Managing Director, Mr. Michael Onagbola. To my immediate left is the Company Secretary, Mr. Shomoiwa Shinobi. I am Mudassir Amre, the Chairman of your company. Thank you. I will now call on the Company Secretary to read the notice convening the meeting.
Notice is hereby given that the 13th Annual General Meeting of UBN Property Company Plc will be held in the auditorium, Stallion Plaza, 9th floor, 36 Marina, Lagos, on Wednesday, 12th July at 11 a.m. to transact the following business. Ordinary business, to receive and adopt the company's audited financial statements for the financial year ended 31st December 2022, together with the reports of the directors, auditor, board appraiser, and statutory audit committee thereon. To declare a dividend for the financial year ended 31st December 2022, to elect and re-elect directors, to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditor, to elect members of the statutory audit committee, to disclose the remuneration of the managers of the company. Special business, to approve the remuneration of directors. 2, in compliance with the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and Regulation 13 of the Companies Regulation 2021 and Clause 6 of the Company's Articles of Association, to consider and if thought fit, approve the cancellation of the company's unaudited share capital of 373,583,949 naira, comprising 373,583,949 unissued ordinary shares of 1 naira each. To approve the amendment of Clause 6 of the company's Memorandum of Association by deleting the current provisions and substituting same with the following: that the share capital of the company is 5,626,416,051 naira, comprising or divided into 5,662,416,051 and 51 ordinary shares of 1 naira each. That for the purpose of implementing the cancellation of the company's unissued share capital and alteration of the company's Memorandum of Association, the board be authorized to execute all relevant documents, take all such lawful steps as may be required by statute and or regulations, and do such other things, acts or things as may be necessary, supplementary, consequential, or incidental to the purpose of giving effect to the above resolutions, including but not limited to engaging professional advisors to make necessary filings and comply with any directive which any regulatory agency or body may deem fit to impose or approve. Notes: a member of the company entitled to attend and vote at the meeting is entitled to appoint a proxy to attend and vote in his or her stead. By order of the board, dated 27th of February 2023.
Thank you, Company Secretary. I will now report the affairs of the company during the financial year under review. The statement of the Chairman and Managing Director appear on pages 7 and 8, 9 and 10 respectively of the Annual Report 2022 and accounts which have already been circulated. To have more time to entertain and answer your questions on the Annual Report, may we, as in previous years, take both the statements as read? Thank you. The Managing Director will, however, answer any questions you may have. Item number 1 on the agenda is to receive and adopt the audited financial statements for the period December 31st, 22, together with the Directors, Auditors, and Statutory Audit Committee reports thereon. The Directors' Report and the consolidated and separate statement of financial position as of December 31st, 2022, together with the consolidated and separate statement of profit and loss and other comprehensive income for the year ended on that day have been circulated to members. I will now call upon Mr. Babayomi Ajijola. Name change. Okay. Mr. Sharif of Ernst & Young to read the auditor's report which was made available to the members with the audited financial statements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning once again. May I crave your indulgence to read the first two and the last paragraph of the auditor's reports and take the other paragraph as read. Thank you. So the independent auditor's report is on page 21 of the annual report. On that page, we start with to the members of UBN Property Company Plc, report on the audit of the financial statements. The first paragraph is opinion. We have audited the financial statements of UBN Property Company Plc, the company, which comprise the statement of financial position as at 34 December 2022, and the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, then statement of cash flow for the year then ended, and notes to the financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. Full stop. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of UBN Property Company Plc as at 31st December 2022, and of its financial performance and cash flow for the year then ended, and have been prepared in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards, the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matter Act 2020, and the Financial Reporting Council Act number 6, 2021. The basis for our opinion is the next paragraph. We have conducted our audit in accordance with International Standard on Auditing, ISAs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibility for the audit of the financial statement section of our report. We are independent of the company in accordance with the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants Codes of Ethics for Professional Accountants, IAS Bar Code, and other independence requirements applicable to perform the audit of the company. We have fulfilled our other ethical responsibility in accordance with IAS Bar Code and in accordance with other ethical requirements applicable to performing the audit of the company. we believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. On page 23, that's where we have the last paragraph. We have a report on other legal and regulatory requirements. In accordance with the requirement of the 5th schedule of the Companies and Allied Matter Act 2020, we confirm that we have obtained all the information and explanations which to the best of our knowledge and belief were necessary for the purpose of our audit. The second point is, in our opinion, proper books of accounts have been kept by the company, and insofar as it appears from our examination of those books. And the last one, the company's statements of financial position and statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of accounts. The audit report is signed by Babayomi Ajijola on behalf of Esther Young and is dated 31st January 2020. I think there's an error. Yeah. Okay, so signed and dated. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sheikh.
Thank you.
So, in accordance with the provisions of Section 404(4) of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, the auditors submitted their report to the Statutory Audit Committee, which duly examined the report and, being satisfied, rendered the certificate earlier circulated to all the shareholders. I now call on Mr. Kamaruddin Oladuso, Chairman of the Statutory Audit Committee, to present the committee's report.
Mr. Chairman, in compliance with Section 404 of Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, the committee reviewed the financial statements of UBN Property Company Plc for the year ended 31st December 2022, and hereby state as follows. The scope and planning of the audit were adequate in our opinion. The accounting and reporting policies of the company conform with the statutory requirements and agreed ethical practices. 3, the internal control and internal audit functions were operating effectively. 4, the external auditor's findings as stated in the management letter are being dealt with satisfactorily by the management. And 5, related party balances and transactions have been disclosed in note 28, the financial statements in accordance with the requirements of the International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS. Signed on behalf of the committee by myself. Other members of the committee are Mr. Remi Kolariwa, Mr. Nona Awo, Mrs. Olajumoke Odulaja, and Mr. Timothy Oyedele. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, may I request Mr. Toyosi Afolabi from DSL Corporate Services to present the board appraisal report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, distinguished shareholders, members of the board. I'm presenting the report of the external consultants on the performance evaluation of the board of directors of UBN Property Company Plc for the financial year ended 31st December 2022. The board of UBN Property Company Plc engaged DCSL to carry out an evaluation of the performance of the board of directors for the year ended 31st December 2022. In line with Principle 14.1 of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance, Section 15.1 of the Securities and Exchange Commission Corporate Governance Guidelines, as well as Global Best Practices on Corporate Governance. The appraisal entailed a review of the company's corporate and statutory documents, minutes of board and committee meetings, policies and other ancillary documents made available to us, and the administration of questionnaires to directors. To ascertain the extent of compliance with relevant corporate governance principles and appraise the performance of the board, we benchmarked the company's corporate governance structures, policies, and processes against the above-mentioned codes as well as global best practices, and considered the following 7 key corporate governance themes. 1, board structure and composition. 2, strategy and planning. 3, board operations and effectiveness. 4, measuring and monitoring of performance. 5, risk management and compliance. 6, corporate citizenship, and 7, transparency and disclosure. The board has the responsibility for putting in place adequate corporate governance structures and practices and approving policies that will ensure the company carries on its business in accordance with its memorandum and articles of association, as well as in conformity with the applicable laws, codes, and regulations to guarantee sustainability. Our review confirms that the board of UBN Property Company Plc substantially complied with the provisions of the SCCJ and the NCCJ codes, and that the activities of the board significantly align with the provisions of the code and corporate governance best practices. Details of our key findings and recommendations are contained in our detailed report. Yours faithfully, on behalf of the CSL Corporate Services Limited, Mrs. Bisi Adeyemi, Managing Director. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. I now lay before you the report and financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2022, and will be pleased to answer any questions relating thereto before we proceed to the next item. If you have questions, it will help to ensure that we give the right answers if you refer to the page of the annual report to which your question relates. I would also suggest that members be brief in their comments and restrict questions to 1 or 2 to give other shareholders the opportunity to speak. Thank you. Please, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, other directors. And good morning, esteemed shareholders. Mr. Chairman, the name is William Sadibayo. Today, being the 13th annual general meeting, and from the annual report that we have, every shareholder should be happy today because we have an impressive result. Very impressive, that we should all smile to the bank. But interestingly, despite the 392% profit after tax, what we are going home today with is so tiny, 0.075. Honestly, it gives us cause for concern. Mr. Chairman, today I have taken my time to read the statement of the MD, that is the man who is responsible for the day-to-day activity of this company. It has shown a lot of improvement. Personal expenses went up. But if you look at what we've been able to achieve as profit after tax, we have to give this board a round of applause. Give them a round. 392% is a great achievement, despite the fact that you are paying us peanuts as dividend today. But we shall commend you. Realizing the fact that the statement of the MD reveal plan for the future, that is under outlook, that page 910. The MD, realizing the great achievement this board has made, has decided cleverly to go into the future and increase the revenue base. I want to thank this MD for it. Give him a round of applause. Your intention is to get more land, construct service schemes, which are very good. But whichever way you look at it, today, as shareholders, we are very concerned about our dividend, what we take home. The Naira continue to dwindle every day by the passing of each day. I want to put it across to the MD. What on earth could you afford to buy with 0.075? It sounds funny. In fact, it's tantamount to viewing your shareholders as element of caricature. I mean, don't turn us to a laughing update. What do you think will you buy on this Nigerian market with 0.05? But then, I will still commend you, because it is important also that you have chosen to plow back the profit for revenue increase for the future. But then you must think of the future of these shareholders. Anything out of that 0.075, taxation takes its own. So at the end of the day, your shareholders will be left as to look as an object of caricature, a laughing object. Look at this achievement you have made. Page 24 and 25. I must also consider what you have as your retained earning. Very good, very good. Look at that retained earning. It's sound. You can as well go into that retained earning, dip your hand into it, and make your shareholder smile. Look at that retained earning. Look at what you've been able to eke out on other incomes too. These are very, very good. Though the encyclopedia makes us to realize that dividends are tiny amount of money. But today, the present day, dividends should show happy things. Mr. Chairman, once again, I want to congratulate this board. You have done very well. But without any gainsaying, you still have room for improvement. The unusual share capital that you are thinking of cancel out, you can wisely turn it into bonus for us and make us to smile. That is the noble truth. Noble truth. That unusual share capital, you can give us as bonus to smile. That is the noble truth. Because you have performed creditably well. You have achieved greatly. Your operating expenses is something that every concerned shareholder should not question about it. Every expenses, we should not question about it, because you have done very well. Mr. Chairman, I want to wish you well. Everybody on the board has performed very well. Shareholders too, I pray God in His infinite mercy will continue to give corporate bodies good spirit to remember us with good dividend. Thank you for the opportunity. God bless.
Thank you. I think they're at the back, and then we will come here. Third.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. My name is Erin Folami Gafar. So I want to start from page 4. The calculation of our initial shares, that's the way we have deemed fit to treat it. My question here is it not too late? Treating it now, will it not generate penalty to the company? So I need response on that. Then page 41, note 11. I want to commend the board on the recovery of previously written off bad debts. It's very commendable. Then secondly, I also observed that our dividends, since we bought into the shares of this company, has been going down year on year. What are we doing to improve on that? Thanks so much.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. The name is Ibrude Moses, the National Coordinator of Independent Shareholders Association of Nigeria. I will start on page 13. But before I do that, I said the chairman, the board, secretary, and my fellow shareholder, good morning, sirs, and good morning, ma'am. To start with, I want to start on page 13. The item of divestment of Union Bank of Nigeria PLC interest in the company. these have been here. What is the position? When this law was made, I think now things have changed. They are granting licenses for people to do HOCO and all of that. So I think we can address it from that angle. Because if you look at this business and the account itself, it is being run properly. A business that you will see that there is no loan, but yet you can make this such a huge profit, and the synergy that you align, you derive from being part of Union Bank is also there. So I will want some explanation on that. What is the position? That was the position then. What is the position now? And I strongly believe that that thing should be stopped, so that Union Bank should continue to be part of management scheme, these people who are managing it. So I think my advice is that we should look at the current position and take a position so that the divestment and the court case should be put to hold. We, the shareholder, for me personally, I want Union Bank to continue, and these people who are running it to continue to run this company. So look at that, and you can give us an update on that. Then, on page 24 to 25, where the performance of the company, where the performance, you can see the performance. You see, I will talk to my senior brother here, my colleague also. Oga, Nona is with you people. And he's a very good critic of companies and all of that. How can you be here? They are giving us dividend, this type of dividend, and you are there. Hey, what is happening? We should not talk to the what is that? You need to explain. Yes. Because if it's that company now, you will finish the bank, the whole people. Wow. This is so tiny. The company is superb here. The way you, look at, you are making the total comprehensive income from 190 million to 887. It's not a joke. And then you are having 16 kobo earning per share from 3. That is superb. We're supposed to smile. No, you have to give us that explanation. Yes, I'm not talking to the manager. You are the one to tell us. Now, the next question I will ask here, sir. How will we sustain this type of performance? Because this performance, no matter how you look at it, is very great. What our strategy, what are we doing to sustain this business so that at the end of the day we can at least get the business well run and let it compensate our every stakeholder. And then I will align it with page 51. It's a capital commitment. Last year you committed about 503 million compared to 35. That is 2021. Now this time is 35 million, meaning that the commitment you have has been reduced. Then if you can use that commitment to generate this account, and then you did it, our own commitment of businesses is now reducing. How will this type of business, this will affect our future in the performance in relation to the first question I asked. Then if you look our performance also of the financial summary, you know, 5 years financial summary, we have been doing well, and gradually we are moving the business from one stage to the other. While we are doing that, my appeal is that we need to consider the stakeholder, especially the shareholder, in terms of increment of dividend. But while you are doing that, we know you are very prudent. We know you want to save for the future, but you must balance the cake so that when you share the cake, some people should not be going empty stomach, while some are smiling and enjoying. You know, there is going to be a problem. So that is why I hang it in my brother Nona to look us and make sure that he's taking care of us there. Thank you very much. The name once again is Prudent Moses.
Thank you. So good, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for all the questions. I think very relevant points. And let me first give a little bit of overview, right? Where what plans are and what we promised you earlier, what we have delivered, and then we will go into some of the specifics. So first of all, if you remember last year AGM, you know, we promised certain results and we said that we are taking company forward in terms of, you know, this. And today we have demonstrated that. The board and the management, I think they have done fantastically well, specifically the management. And we should appreciate this performance. However, as a board, we have higher expectations. What we expect this year is even higher. There are certain changes that we brought to the company in terms of opening competition, even bank-wise, you know, what they do, which has improved their returns. And the projects that we are looking at. There are big projects that we are looking at. You will see very visible projects, both hopefully in Lagos and in Abuja that we are planning. But all of that require funds. All of that require investment. You talked about cost and the cost of living and everything. Cost of construction has gone up. The project cost has gone up, right? So we have, as you rightly pointed out, sir, it's a balance between the dividend and growth that we need to strike. Now this time, of course, we wanted to have more, and we definitely, you will see this thing growing because we are increasing the pie. So don't look at the percentage, look at the absolute amount that you get, right? And compare the absolute amount versus the absolute amounts that you have been getting. And in future also what you will get is the amount, right? Percentage, because the pie is growing. And what you have seen, we want to assure that that becomes the base. We don't come down from where we are today. Because see, this is a very difficult business. This is a project-based business. So project-based meaning you have seen the revenue of 886 million this year, but it can be 100 million this year if we don't do projects. So every year you start with zero. There is no, it's not a bank that it's a recurring income, right? So therefore it's very critical for us to remain liquid, to be opportunistic and maintain cash in the company so that we can take advantage of the market opportunities. Now, so that's the overall, I would say, conceptually, you know, why dividend is where it is and where we are taking the company forward, right? And it's striking a balance between dividend and growth. Now, from cancellation of shares, the second question was cancellation of shares. You want to take that?
So on the issue of cancellation of shares, if you recall, the CAC's guidelines on AGM by proxies fell away on the 31st of December 2022. Now, cancellation of shares, which is basically, it involves the alteration of the MEMAT, is a resolution you have to bring to shareholders. Bearing in mind that under the CAC's guidelines, you could only do ordinary business. Dividend, approval of directors. So we couldn't, what the CAC asked us to do, they took it away by virtue of that, that circular. So the earliest opportunity we could present this issue of cancellation of shares is post 31st of December. So the two directives coincided, but unfortunately we could not do one last year because of CBN guidelines, because CAC guidelines. So the earliest we could do it is today, or well, after 1st of January. So And this is the first opportunity, and we are bringing it to you. So there may we are engaging the CAC. There may be penalties, but it is foisted on us by the situation we find ourselves, and this is the best we can do in this circumstance.
Thank you. Then there was a question about divestment, right, Union? So listen, of course, this will be a decision of the board of Union Bank. We will take it back to the Union Bank board, right? But as a chairman of your company, and with my colleagues and other board members on the management, on behalf of the management, I can assure you that we will deliver such results that it will become difficult for them to divest. And that is called sustenance, that you say, right? Yes. So you also mentioned how would you sustain this kind of results? And as I mentioned, look, we can sustain this if we remain liquid and we look out for opportunities. So that's why, as I said, it's about growth and it's about striking the right balance. Thank you. So I hereby move that the audited financial statements for the period 31st December 2022, together with the directors, auditors, and statutory audit committee reports thereon be received and adopted. Would someone please rise and second the motion? You know. Thank you, madam. Would those in favor of the motion please signify by raising their admission cards? Thank you. Would those against the motion please signify by raising their admission cards? Thank you. I hereby declare the motion has been duly carried. Item number 2 on the agenda is the declaration of a dividend. The directors have recommended a dividend of 7.5 kobo gross for the year ended 31st December 22. All shareholders on the register of the company at the close of business on Friday, June 23rd, 2023 will therefore receive a dividend of 0.075k on every one share for the year ended 31st December 2022, subject to 10% withholding tax. I hereby move that a dividend in the sum of 421,981,203.83 translating to 83 kobo, translating to 0.075 kobo gross per one share of the company, subject to withholding tax for the year ended December 31st, 2022, be paid to shareholders whose name appeared in the register of members at the close of business on Friday, 23rd June 2023, be and is approved and payable on Thursday, July 13th, 2023. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Would those in favor of the motion please signify by raising their admission cards? Thank you. Would those against the motion please signify by raising their admission cards? Thank you. I hereby declare the motion has been duly carried. The next item in the election is the election of the following directors who retire at this AGM, being the first general meeting since their appointment. As required by the Code of Corporate Governance in Nigeria, the biographic information of the directors retiring at this meeting by rotation by law are provided on page 5 and 6 of the annual report. I shall now call on the secretary to read their names.
The names of the directors who retire at this annual general meeting, being the first annual general meeting since their appointment, are Mr. Joseph Mbulu and Mr. Michael Onogbola.
In accordance with S287(1) of Kama 2020, all retiring directors can be re-elected with the passing of a motion for their election by a single resolution. Would someone please rise and propose a motion for the election of the retiring directors by a single resolution? Thank you, sir. Okay. Would someone please rise and propose a motion for the re-election of the retiring directors by a single resolution? Oh, this is done already, sorry. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Would those in favor of the motion to re-elect the retiring directors by a single resolution please signify by raising their admission cards? Would those objecting to this motion please signify by raising their admission cards? Now that the motion to re-elect all retiring directors by single resolution has been carried unanimously, I hereby move that the retiring directors, namely Mr. Joseph Mobolu and Mr. Michael Onagbola, be and are hereby elected by a single resolution. Would someone please rise and second the motion?
My name is John Kenneth. I second that motion. John Kenneth. Yes.
Would those in favor of the motion please signify by raising their admission cards? Would those objecting to this motion please signify by raising their cards? I hereby declare the motion carried unanimously. The next item is the re-election of directors. As required by the SEC Code of Conduct Governance in Nigeria, the biographic information of the directors retiring by rotation at this meeting are provided on page 5 and 6. I shall now call on the secretary to read his name.
The director who retires and seeks re-election in pursuance of Article 27 at this meeting is Mr. Remi Kolariwa.
I hereby move that Mr. Remi Kolarinwa be and is hereby re-elected. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Would those in favor of the motion please signify by raising their card? Would those objecting to this motion please signify by raising their cards? Thank you. I hereby declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you, sir. The next item on the agenda is the remuneration of the auditors. In accordance with Section 4012 of the Companies and Allied Matters 2020 as amended, the retiring auditors Messrs. Ernst & Young are being reappointed without any resolution being passed. But the Act requires that their remuneration be fixed by the company in general meeting or in such manner as the company in general meeting may determine under Section 408 of the Company and Allied Matters 2020. I hereby move that directors be and are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration and expenses of the auditors for the year ending 31st December 2023. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Would all those in favor of the motion please signify by raising their hands? Would anyone objecting to this motion please signify by raising their hands? I hereby declare the motion has been carried by majority votes. Item 5 on the agenda is the election of members of the Statutory Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 4046 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, the Company Secretary have received the names of the shareholder nominee for election into the Statutory Audit Committee. The shareholders currently on the Statutory Audit Committee shall also be subjected to re-election annually. I now call on the Secretary to read the name of the elected shareholders, members on the Statutory Audit Committee together with those of the new nominee.
The shareholders who are members of the Statutory Audit Committee seeking re-election are Mr. Kamarudin Oladosu, Mr. Nona Awo, Mr. Timothy Oyedele. Pursuant to Section 404, Subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, nominations were received within the statutory time limit, and these were from Mr. Kamaruddin Oladosu, nominated by Equity Capital Solutions Limited; Mr. Nona Awo, nominated by Antheos Values and Adorations Limited; Mr. Timothy Oyedele, nominated by Mr. Kamaruddin Oladosu.
Thank you. In line with Section 4043 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, the directors have resolved to appoint 2 of their members to represent the board on the Statutory Audit Committee. They are Mr. Joseph Mobolu and Mr. Remy Kolarinwa. In respect of the shareholders' representative, the company secretary had reported that pursuant to Section 4043 of the Company and Allied Matters Act 2020, that only the following nominations were received within the statutory time limit: Mr. Kamaruddin Oladosu, Mr. Norna Awo, Mr. Timothy Oyedele. I hereby move that Mr. Kamaruddin Oladosu, Mr. Norna Awo, Mr. Timothy Oyedele be returned as shareholders' representative on the Statutory Audit Committee pursuant to Section 4043 of the Company and Allied Matters Act until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting, in addition to the following board nominees: Mr. Joseph Mobolo and Mr. Remy Kolarenwa. Would someone please second the motion? Would those in favor of the motion please signify by raising their hands? Would those against the motion please signify by raising their hand? I hereby declare the motion has been duly carried. Thank you. In line with Section 238 of CAMA 2020, which requires that the disclosure of the remuneration of the company's managers be made at this meeting, this disclosure is provided in the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2022. This concludes the ordinary business of the day as indicated in the notes of the meeting. We have the special business. The first item of special business on the agenda is to approve the remuneration of directors. I now call upon a member of the company to formally propose the following resolution pursuant to Section 293(1) of CAMA 2020, that the remuneration of the directors of the company be fixed at 10 million. Would someone please rise and propose a motion for the approval of the directors' remuneration? Would someone please rise and second the motion? Would those in favor of the motion please signify by raising their hands? Would those against the motion please signify by raising their hands? I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. Regulation 13 of the Companies Regulation 2021, in furtherance of the provision of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, requires all companies to cancel their unissued shares with effect from January 1st, 2023. I hereby move that in compliance with the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and the Regulation 13 of the Companies Regulation 2021, that the company's unissued shares capital of Naira 373,583,949, comprising 373,583,949 unissued ordinary shares of 1 Naira each BN is hereby cancelled. Would someone please rise and second this motion? Would all those in favor of the motion please signify by raising their hand? Would those against the motion please signify by raising their hands? I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. The next item on the agenda is to approve the amendments of Clause 6 of the company's Memorandum of Association in furtherance of Regulation 13 of the Companies Regulation 2021 and the Companies and Allied Matters 2020 to reflect the company's current issued share capital. I hereby move that Clause 6 of the company's Memorandum of Association be amended by deleting the current provision and substituting same with the following. The share capital of the company is Naira 5,626,416,051 Naira divided into 5,626,416,051 ordinary shares of 1 Naira each. Would somebody please rise and second the motion? Would all those in favor of this motion please signify by raising their hands? Would those objecting to this motion please signify by raising their hands? I hereby declare the motion has been duly carried. Item 4, yeah. The next item on the agenda is to authorize the Board of Directors to implement the approved cancellation of the company's unissued shares and alteration of the company's Memorandum of Association. I hereby move that for the purposes of implementing the approved cancellation of the company's unissued shares and alteration of the company's Memorandum of Association, the Board be and is hereby authorized to execute all relevant documents, take all such lawful steps as may be required by statute and by regulations, and do such acts or things as may be necessary, supplementary, consequential, all incidental, for the purpose of giving effect to the above resolutions, including but not limited to engaging professional advisors, to make necessary filings, and comply with any directive which any regulatory agency or body may deem fit to impose or approve. Would someone please rise and second this motion? Would all those in favor of this motion please signify by raising their hands? Would anyone objecting to this motion please signify by raising their hands? I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. This concludes all the items on the agenda for this AGM. Thank you. Distinguished shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you very much on behalf of the Board of Directors for your time and contributions. Thank you. Can we have